there are days when you feel happy with the smallest success, which you feel is very successful, but for other people's eyes, it's like, okay, another tournament. That's something what I've learned over my career, and some of these important teachings in life, I think I've been thankful to my uncle Murli Rao. He always said like, win or lose, next day you need to be in the training hall.
Sharath Kamal Achanta's longevity in table tennis is no mean feat. He was already 20 years old when he played at the national level, considered usually to be a late start. But he has since gone on to become the first Indian table tennis player ever to become 9-time senior national champion. He's also the first table tennis player to be awarded the Padma Shri. Despite no recognition when he started playing as a junior and an injury that almost put a stop to his playing days, Sharath's career has exemplified the importance of grit and patience for an athlete. Listen to his fascinating journey despite the heartbreaks, hitting rock bottom, and bouncing back. First of all, huge congrats on the Oman title.
Thank you. Feels like a long time ago.
I know, yes. But what a great way to enter into this lockdown and give yourself some amount of rest, probably.
Yeah. So a lot of times on the IDTF circuit, they still call me as the last champion because I was the last one to win a tournament.
Right, yeah. So hopefully we'll see more of that soon. Yeah. Yeah. But what was it like? This title comes after 10 years, right? Last one was in 2010 at Egypt Open, which you won.
Yeah.
So what did it feel like when you made that winning shot?
Well, I think there was a lot that went through before the tournament, during the tournament, and of course after the tournament. Before the tournament, it was more or less like I started my preparation for the Olympic Games in November 2019.
Okay.
So I wanted to peak. There's a process to peak and periodization, and to get there in the best shape, both mentally and physically. So I was there in the process, and Oman Open was one tournament which was a milestone tournament in the process of getting to the Olympic Games and doing well at the Olympic Games also.
Okay.
So that is one of the main reasons why I wanted to go to Oman Open. I didn't miss Oman Open. Why I would have missed Oman Open is because of the beginning of the coronavirus spread. Folks at home, my wife especially, was very uncomfortable with me traveling because she said, "Okay, if I would prefer you not going because a lot of the airports and traveling was the main source of the contact at
Yeah.
that point of time." So, and if I came back home after going to Oman, she said I should take up a room in a hotel. So I go into the tournament, thinking of all this, and I know I'll have to do well because the pressure is doubled.
Yeah.
Firstly, the Olympics, at that point of time, still Olympics was on and
Yeah.
everything was coming on. So my performance that way, and secondly, I've gone against my folks at home, which generally doesn't happen. They've been very supportive all through my career. So I've gone against their wishes. So I'll have to also, do something worthwhile for taking that risk. So when I came to the final day, semi-final and final, I was actually quite happy that I was there at that in that tournament. I didn't cancel the tournament because even before boarding the flight, I confirmed with the organizers if the tournament is going to happen. Because at the same time in Poland, the tournament got cancelled during
Okay.
the tournament. Like it
Oh,
started and then it got cancelled
oh
because
God.
somebody had fever in the tournament.
Okay.
But it's not a coronavirus, but
Just to be
somebody had fever.
precautious. Yeah.
Yeah. So it was so and during the tournament, WHO announces it as a pandemic. So through the tournament, you don't know when it's going to stop. You don't know if the tournament is going to stop, or are we able to go in? Can we get back home if the tournament stops, and or even after the tournament completes, are we able to get back home? If we get back home, Will there be a quarantine for everybody? Where will the quarantine be? What? There
Yeah.
was so much of anxiety and uncertainty. So
Was it hard to keep your focus with all that
it was.
worry in your head? Yeah.
It was even in the training hall, when at that point of time we didn't have so much information about the virus. We just knew that door handles and tables are being touched, people are sitting like in the training hall. You just one after the other keeps coming and going. We
Yeah.
prepare for the match, and then we go to the match again. Once we so everybody who has a match comes to the training hall first, sits there. They spend more time in the training hall than in the match hall. So, then you're always sitting like, okay, do I sanitize this place and sit, or do I touch there? Do I not touch here? There are too many things going on in your head without being able to focus on what has to be done.
Yeah.
The sole reason why I'm there is I want to play my sport, do well in it. But there were so many thoughts about it. So there, I think my mental coach helped me a little bit. But generally, also by and large, I told myself that okay, I'm here for a reason. Let me finish this, and then I can worry about all the other external parts. Because the other external parts, let's say, will I be able to travel, quarantine, all this, I don't control anything. What I
Yeah.
can control is my game and my mind.
True.
So I put my focus there, and I'm really happy that I won that tournament. And when I got back home, Madras Corporation tracked me down, put a sticker outside my house saying 28 days quarantine.
Oh, really?
Yes. So on the 29th day, I plugged out the sticker.
So that must be a great feeling to, okay, I'm done with the quarantine.
Yes, more than the
Yeah.
tournament itself, the quarantine of 28 days. Because normally everybody is saying 14 days. The 28 days of quarantine was too
Yeah.
much. But anyways, the lockdown had initiated by then. There was nothing much to do outside of it.
Right. Yeah. That's true. So I want to go back to right in the beginning. You had said how your father and uncle were the ones who got you into table tennis, and at the age of 4. When did you realize you liked it, and this is what you would like to continue doing it?
In all my interviews, I say I started the game at 4, but I was introduced to the sport at 2.
Oh, really?
I still remember, yeah, my dad used to take me on his bicycle. I used to stand behind him, and my uncle used to sit behind. Yeah, so 3 of us. And I used to stand on the carrier, and I used to go in the evenings. So
Okay.
I was introduced to the game at a very young age. That's because my dad and uncle were coaches, and in the evening that was a first time. I
Okay.
could spend some time in the club with the other kids, play a little bit with the balls and bat. So that was how I got introduced. But I still remember days when I was like 9, 10 years old. I at 6 o'clock in the morning I used to wake my dad up to go to table tennis, and my mom would say, "Dad came back late last night. He's pretty tired. Let him sleep." And Dad would get up and say, "No, if he's interested, my tiredness should not stop his passion." So he used to come along. So at such a young age, I liked playing the sport. I liked going to the club, but I was never a very good player until I was 20 years old.
Yes.
So I never played for junior India, or under 17, under 14, under 12. I never played for India. I played only for India in the open category, and I am a national champion only in the open category. When you look at other national champions, they would have been under 17 national champions. They would have had a career, which would have driven them to become a senior
Okay.
champion too. So very few players have become just senior national champions, and I'm one of them. So I had that passion, and at the age of 14, 15, when 10th standard was getting over, and I had to decide science, typical South Indian science,
Yeah, I know.
uh, engineering, and then US, or commerce and table tennis. So, of course, my father being my coach, he wanted me to do that. My mother, coming from Andhra Pradesh, you know how it is. Back there, my
Yeah.
cousins are all in the US.
And that too, for a Telugu boy to go settle in the US is nothing like that. Yeah.
Yes. But they let me do the decision, and I wanted to uh, do professional table tennis. So that's when I decided I will take up commerce and I will go into professional table tennis. So the day I decided that, I think the hardship started. Between
Yeah.
15, the age of 15 until 20, it was really, really hard because I was not able to break the jinx.
Yeah.
So those 5 years I still remember. Not just me, I think the people around me also remember.
Okay. Was it ever very demoralizing when you put in the work but you don't see the results of it? How did you keep going?
There are days when you have that. Uh, there are days when you feel happy with the smallest success, which you feel is very successful, but for other people's eyes, it's like okay, another tournament. Uh, but yeah, I think that's something what I've learned over my career, and some of these important teachings in life. I think I've been thankful to my uncle Murli Rao. He always said like, uh, win or lose, next day you need to be in the training hall. So at that point of time, it was harsh, but now I understand what it actually means. Doesn't matter win or lose, because when you win, you can't be content with it. You cannot be satisfied with that and think you have achieved it, because there's always going to be a next tournament, and everybody is looking to beat you now.
Yeah.
In a draw of 32, there are 31 losers. There's only one winner. So the guy who's winning it is abnormal. So everybody wants to be that one. Everybody is looking to be that one. So when you win, you need to come back and try to defend that place. And when you lose, it's obvious, yeah, you need to be the best. So
Yeah.
you haven't probably given your best. So try your best, and next time you will always have your chances.
Okay. But once you started playing at the national level, things started rolling pretty soon.
Yeah, I must say I'm pretty fortunate there. Um,
Maybe
I played
those
my first.
years. Sorry. Yeah.
Yes, yes. As you're saying, yes. Those years, those 5 years where I was struggling, had taught me a lot in my life. Made me more mentally strong,
Yeah.
and gave me the moment I got the right break. I didn't stop there. I just continued to go ahead and ahead. So 2002 was the first time I was ever called for the national team,
Okay.
for a training camp. That was the first time. This is in April.
Okay.
And by 2002 December, January, I become India number 4. And by 2003 December, I become the national champion in India number 1. So that was how fast I got into the Indian scene. And by 2004, I became the first Indian to win the Commonwealth gold medal. We beat 9 times record holders England
Yeah.
for that. And I played my first Olympic Games in 2004. I qualified for my first Olympic Games, and I became an Arjuna Award in 2005. So there it went bang. So a lot of people on the Arjuna Award committee didn't know me, didn't hear about me, and they were like, "It's been only just 1 year since he's playing for the national team. You know,
Yeah.
probably we can give him some time." But then the others were like, "Okay, you can see what he's done, right?" Because all this over the years, when I've grown up, and a lot of people come back to me, and they have told me, like a couple of them were on the committee when they while giving me the Arjuna Award, and they like the debate
Okay.
what goes on between the juries. So they were telling, they were saying maybe it's too early to give it to him, and some were like, he's already done so much. It will only encourage him more. So actually, that the later happened, it encouraged me more and kept me going. So I moved into Europe because the competition and level of practice in India was not as good, as
Yeah.
in Europe. And if I wanted to do well in international tournaments, I need that kind of an exposure. So I moved into Europe, stayed there for almost 14 years, and yeah, got back after 12 years. I lived there, then I still continue to play in Europe.
Yeah.
So 2016 I moved back to China.
Okay. So did that sudden adulation, like, throw you off? Did you feel overwhelmed? after
No,
facing that 5 years of just practicing in the dark, as in playing in the dark? Yeah.
no, I went to Europe. I, I was all alone there. There was nobody. There was nobody to check on me. Nobody to, even there. I still remember 2004 when I went to Europe. Um, I had fever for a couple of days, and I was like, nobody checked on me. Nobody knows what happened to me. But that's how Europe is. At that point of time, I was feeling bad, but then that's how Europe is. You all alone. They expect you to be responsible, and you become responsible.
Okay.
So coming from India, four people all the time around you, and there's always somebody to take care of you. When you
Yeah.
go there, so then my aims also my goals became bigger. I wanted to, even though I was doing well in the national scene, my goals became bigger. So that didn't let the victory get to my head.
Okay. So your career was going on a roll. And then somewhere along 2010, 2011, in fact, you say 2011, you hit your lowest ranking, 94.
Yes.
So what happened suddenly?
Lot of things have happened. Lot of things actually combinedly happened. If they would have
Okay.
happened alone, I think I would have handled the whole thing. But all of them combinedly happened. So I think I was not able to handle it, both professionally and personally. A new scenario I had come into. So basically, by 2010, 2009, 2010, the game had evolved.
How so?
Technically, there were a couple of new strokes which came into being used, and as an old timer, I couldn't adapt to those new strokes. It took me time to
Okay.
adapt to those new strokes. So basically, if to go in a little bit technical here, if I have to explain technically, earlier, prior to 28 2000 sorry 2008 Olympic Games, the game was predominantly forehand play.
Okay.
Players were more forehand based. The generations after, basically from 2005 onwards, who started playing table tennis, they were both backhand and forehand players.
Okay.
So me, I came from a era where there was only forehand. My backhand was weak a weak spot. So the youngsters always could exploit me on the weakness. So, and I was at 2010 2011, I was 29 30. So my muscles and reflexes, everything are slowing down.
Okay.
uh, and I'm up against players who are like 20 21. So either I need to be very very fast physically, or I need to adapt into both backhand and forehand game. So that change, first to understand that that change needs to be taken, and adapting into that change took me a while. Actually,
Okay.
2011 I hit that low, and at the same time, on the personal front, we had our daughter and we moved to Germany. So German
Right.
Bundesliga is very very harsh, very very hard. As in such, uh, performance is secondary. Results are primary. You need
Okay.
to win, and the club and everything depends on your victory. So that change, and taking my family there, having a newborn baby, was difficult for me to handle, both combining the personal and the professional. So all these came together at the same time. So I didn't know which one to address. So
Okay.
I felt. So slowly I picked up myself. The first thing what I understood was I need a coach who is working with me in Europe, because I have a coach in India. I have my father and uncle as coaches, uh, but they are in India. I'm in Europe. I
Yeah.
need somebody to take care of me, of my daily job, daily work. Who needs to who need to also take care of the new age techniques. So then I started looking for a few coaches, and then finally I could find a coach who was, also budget was a main constraint, because
Yeah.
paying a European coach out of my own pocket is very expensive. Even for the Indian government to pay for an European coach is expensive. but I tried it playing it out from my own pocket. And I think that was one of the best investments I've made in my game. And that is the reason why I'm still able to play so good.
Okay.
I could come back from that. And at that point of time, again, my wife was, the most singular. She took it hands on. She took me hands on and said, okay. When I wanted to invest in the coach, she was the one who said, no problem, you invest it, don't worry about it. She stood by that. And then the year after, 2012, when she saw that I'm practicing more, I'm investing more time, and I'm struggling to strike a balance between personal life and professional life, she said she'll move back to India. I could stay there in Europe and practice, and she, with my daughter, will move back to India to her mom's house.
Okay.
So I think that is one of a very big sacrifice from her side, to say, okay, I'll take care of the kid. You play your sport. We will visit you once in a while. And this is something.
Yeah.
2016, after 2016 Olympic Games, get back home and hang your boots. But that part of the promise I haven't kept. Her promise she's kept.
What's your wife's name?
Her name is Sri Purni.
Okay.
So she doesn't, even till date, she doesn't watch me play.
Oh, is it?
She doesn't understand the sport and she gets very nervous. She says, it's no fun watching you play. She prefers watching my friends play and, she can support one of them. But with me, she says, she can't just watch.
Oh. Okay. So you started training and this whole time, your main goal is the Rio 2016.
It was.
Okay.
It was. So, 2012, I missed out on the London Olympic Games. So that hurt me very, very much. Okay. I missed out on 5 finals. I went up to the finals of the qualification tournaments, and all the 5 I lost.
Oh.
So that was. I've lost to players whom I even at 3 a.m. in the morning, if you wake me up and say, let's go on for a game, I would not lose to them. But at that point of time, I lost to them. So that's the bad patch.
Yeah. No, I want to know, what's your frame of mind when you're dealing with rejection and, how do you...
Basically, what happens is, a bad patch is the connections are lost in your head. There's no flow. With no flow in the head, flow in the sense, the thoughts, the process, the way how you want to build your game, everything. See, many times it's like, I know what the opponent is going to do. I know what I have to do, and I still put the ball out. That is very, very hurting because I know what's going to happen, and I still, just because of the expectations, the expectation has become the reality. That puts so much pressure on you that you tend to miss the ball out. So with all this, the common factor or the most important factor is you start to overthink. Overthinking is the worst thing that can happen. See, many times they say when you're playing well, you're in the zone.
Yeah.
The zone is when you have no thoughts. You have no thoughts. Like in Oman Open final or even the semi-final, many times when I look back at the highlights or the replays, I'm like, how did I even get out of this situation? I'm trailing so behind. I have no chance, and the kind of mistakes I made until there. Normally, there's no way to get back. But then, when you have the right kind of mind frame, it comes in. But how do you get there? Is like you don't overthink. So it's very easy to say.
Yeah.
But then the moment things don't work, you're like trying to put 1:1, because the logical mind starts to think.
Yeah.
Then it complicates too much.
Okay. Yeah. So your singular focus has to be on winning the game.
Both the ways, the singular focus will be there. Even on a rough patch, you will still want to win.
Yeah.
But then the mind will be thinking of so many options. Okay, do I play my forehand? Do I play my backhand? Do I go aggressive? Do I play defensive? And every shot or every thought is told by you. And when you're in a good patch, it just happens automatically.
Okay.
When you're in the zone, you don't have to tell yourself, okay, now probably the opponent is going to do this, go in for the forehand. You don't need to tell that. It's automatic. But
Okay.
then when you're in a rough patch, you will tell that, you will hit the forehand, and then it will go out. It'll be like, this is exactly what I told you.
That's actually a nice, interesting insight you're given into how athletes work. Yeah. So I actually watched your match with the opposite Simon Gauzy at the China Open. The match that you say almost put a stop to your career because you tore your hamstring muscle. 12 centimeters is what you had earlier mentioned. When I was watching the match, I'm sure you were in a whole lot of pain, but you seemed composed.
See, again, 2015, going back to 2013, my wife goes back home. 2 years of the kind of work I put in those 2 years um, is really, I don't know from where I got that kind of an energy to put it. I almost was, sleeping in the hall. I didn't go
Okay.
back home in between times for rest. I just stayed back there, had a coffee around there, and then just went back to the next practice because I was just waiting to go for the next practice. So that was a kind of, uh, the let's say I missed out 2012. So 2016, I need to, prove my medal and probably win that medal,
Yeah.
for India. So that was the most important thing. So 2013, I started preparing. 2014, I'm starting to be back on a roll. I hit the top 50 rankings, coming into so well. 2015, beginning of 2015, Jan 2015, I had the best of the best performances. I beat world number. Uh, I beat actually 3 top 20 players in
Yeah.
24 hours. That is in March. In January, in Champions League, I lead the team to the semi-finals. Uh, in the Bundesliga, in the club matches, I took them from almost a point of no return. We were completely down. In the first semi-final, I was benched because we thought that would be better. I didn't play. Then the second match, because in the leagues it's always home and away. They're one in their home and one in our home.
Okay.
So that's
Right.
how it happens. In their home, I was benched, and we lost the match pretty badly. So here we need to win very easily, very very easily. And I tell the coach, please put me on the first match. I had to fight with the coach to tell him to put me on the first match. I was telling him, don't put me on the second or the third. Put me on the first one. The coach was like, let's start with the best player because the best player is the former world number one,
Okay.
uh, the German player. So he said, if we start with them, we can add pressure. No, I said, keep him for the end because if you keep Dhoni to the end, then the pressure is on. Let the smaller goats go ahead.
Yeah.
uh, and then I actually delivered there. So so that was the kind of performance I had at that point of time. And then uh, playing that Simon Gauzy's match, I win that match. Uh, I was up 3-0. I tore my
Yeah.
hamstring on the fourth set. I lose the set. The doctor says, finish the match, get out. The coach says, no more. I said, please give me one more set, just one more set. If I lose this set, I will walk out. And then I was lucky to finish that set. I was able to win that set with with all the pain and everything.
Yeah.
Still, I managed to win the set. After that, I couldn't walk. I was on a wheelchair for 6 weeks, and I had to
I
get it
know.
operated. I didn't know if I could get back. And I get to my career best ranking of 32 in the world rank at that
Okay.
point of time. That was my best ranking at that point. Till then, 32.
Yeah.
And I have this injury where I don't know if I can come back. So imagine the mental state. That was I was close to clinical depression. I didn't know if I'll be able to get back. There were a lot of times when I went to the physio's clinic, sat outside his building, on the bench, on the street, and just went back home. I didn't have
Oh,
the guts, the push in me to say, okay, let's go into the clinic, work, get myself back, and then try to fight further on.
right.
There were some times when I went back home and told the physio, I'm sorry, I was just outside the door all the way. So those situations, it was really hard. And then 2016, qualifying for 2016 itself became difficult. But
Yeah.
okay, in the end, somehow I qualified, and of course, the performance was not something great. So I'm hoping 2020 Olympic Games, which is going to happen in 2021, will see
Yeah.
my best. So let's see how it goes.
Could you talk about I want to know what, like you were saying, you were talking about ending your career after the injury. You, in fact, I think the doctor said you were risking your leg if you continue playing. And I think you would have been, what, 32, 33 at that point?
Yeah, I was 32.
Yeah, which is considered kind of old in the sports world.
Yeah.
Did you ever think, okay, what is the point of carrying on? Maybe, I can put an end, stop to my career and focus on other things. Did you ever think that?
There were thoughts. There were thoughts about how this is going to go. The physio and the doctor, both of them said, if the injury reoccurs, then it's almost even for you to lead your normal life. You'll have to have. It's not going to be the usual way.
Right.
Walking, running, let alone table tennis, you cannot play.
Yeah.
But even regular life is going to be hard. So that's what they said. Or probably you'll have to, do a lot of rehab and continuously keep doing it until the muscle itself grows back or stuff like that. So there were thoughts about, okay, what am I looking at here? Why am I trying to get back into the sport? What am I going to achieve? But at the same time, the Olympic Games has its own magic. Everybody asked me, okay, what's the difference between Commonwealth Games, Asian Games, and Olympic Games?
Okay.
Everything is once in 4 years. Uh, Asian Games is probably harder than the Olympic Games
Okay.
because Asia, is a powerhouse of table tennis. Commonwealth Games, of course, we can win some medals. So the difference between Commonwealth Games, Asian Games, and Olympic Games itself, is very big. Commonwealth and Asians are Commonwealth Games. India, we've always won some medals, so we go in to win medals. Asian Games is really very hard. Probably Asian Games is harder than Olympic Games because it's the toughest, for table tennis. And but Olympic Games as in such, it has a different feel, it has a different importance to it. It is of course the most important sporting event that happens all over the world. And for many
Right.
players, especially the top players, the top European players or the Asian players, they are preparing just for this Olympic Games. When you see them at the Asian Games and when you see them at the Olympic Games, you can clearly see a stark difference in their mental form and their physical form, because this is they prepare for this, at least 2 years from before before 2 years ahead.
That's
So they
amazing.
start
Yeah.
for the Asian Games, probably they're preparing only 6 months prior,
Okay.
but for the Olympic Games they're preparing at least 2 years prior. And the year of the Olympic Games, it is just the Olympic Games, there is nothing else that comes in between. So that makes it all, you can see the level of game goes so high, and so the the players are so focused, and the kind of pressure that is there on all of them is enormous.
Yeah.
So I think that is where Olympic Games by itself stays very special.
Okay. So you won a title at the age of 37. It's an age where many athletes think of retiring and doing other sports related activities. So what still gets you going?
Well, a lot of them have asked me this, but I think over the years, sports science has improved or evolved so much that age is just becoming a number.
Right.
Look at tennis, look at cricket, look at badminton.
Right.
So, uh, so age has become just a number. That's because of the advancement of the sports science.
Okay.
So that way, that is helping me. If I was 37, and let's say 10 years ago, if I was playing, of course, there's no way I could follow on so much. And most of them retired. My seniors, all of them, by they were 34, they felt very old. They felt very old.
Okay.
The younger players started beating them, and the younger players always used to call them as oldies.
Exactly. So that's what I want to talk about. This, sometimes you might still have it in you physically, but so much the mental aspect is what matters. Are you feeling old? Like, I want to ask you, when you see the younger players, are you feeling anxious or intimidated? Is like, oh, what am I still doing here? Is it, do I have what it takes to keep going? Do you have those questions?
I have the questions of, will I be able to match them?
Okay.
More than uh, asking myself, okay, what am I doing? Because at this point of time, still they're not able to run over me. They can beat me a couple of times here and there,
Okay.
but still I'm proving it to them that that I'm on par, and I'm better than you guys. So for me to be as good as they are, I've got the experience. I can manage with the experience. I've got the motivation. But physical part is where I need to catch up with them, because they are younger. They are at least 10 years younger, at least.
Yeah.
There are even players who are 15 or 20 years younger also, and I need to be as fast as they are.
Yeah.
So again, there, uh, the physical part is the most important thing. But again, on the other side, a lot of people have asked me, uh, what's the motivation? What's the motivation to put yourself to the grind of physically trying to be as fit as the youngsters, and trying to match them up, uh, hand to hand. So for me, it's more or less like, okay, at every 2 years, I set my goals. Especially after 2016, I had, okay, 2018 Commonwealth Games and Asian Games, I want to do well. Then we did extremely well in 2018 Commonwealth Games and Asian Games. For the first time in 60 years in Asian Games, we won a medal.
Yeah.
I, in fact, won 2 medals, mixed doubles and team championships. And from there on, another 2 years was the Olympic Games. So the goal kept moving ahead and ahead instead of being content with what I was. And complementing to that has been my discipline with physical fitness.
Okay.
So I always have been working physically quite hard. I'm quite tough with myself when it comes to physical fitness and being physically fit. So that is one of the main reasons what is helping me go on. And on the other side, as you asked, if I feel intimidated with the youngsters, it is more or less like, uh, a few years ago, the youngsters felt intimidated, thought me as a competitor, and they used to, try to uh, not take my advice, or they
Okay.
just thought, no, it's not like not take my advice. They will probably think, okay, why is he telling? Is it for my good, or
Right.
and
Yeah.
we need to be better than him. So that was how it was. But over a period, I've taken them all along and told, okay, we all need to go together,
Yeah.
and you don't take my place, I don't take your place. In this world, everybody have their own places. We don't need to fight for each other's place.
I agree. Yeah.
We can go and do better in this way. And that way, the youngsters have also understood, okay, Sharath, he has his place, we have our place, and we go in as together. And when we're doing that together as a team, you see, table tennis itself has gained a lot of popularity in the recent times.
Yeah. But but I have to say, before I got to, my friend suggested your name and all that. Sadly, I didn't know what you had achieved. I had vaguely come across your name, but I had to do a whole amount of research to find out about your matches and what you had done and all that. So does that feel little, discouraging for a player that, so much of India doesn't give the focus necessary? It's always about tennis and cricket. So do you feel little disheartened by it?
See, as far as India is concerned, there's only one sport or one religion, let's say, that's cricket.
Yeah.
The others are, even when you look at any news app or the newspaper tabloids, there's cricket and other sports.
Yeah.
So that's how it is. And in other sports, we are in a lower category. So that's also because, tennis did well with Leander and Mahesh. Then Sania Mirza coming in. Now Rohan Bopan are doing well. Then badminton has its thing because of Saina,
Yeah.
Sindhu, Srikanth, and Kashyap. All these stars. So what I understood at a very young age is, until and unless you win medals for the country, on the big tournaments, the sport doesn't get that popular.
Yeah.
So the moment we won in 2018, there was this sudden buzz about everything. I'm really happy that people get to know now. When you talk about table tennis, the first few names that come up: Sharath Kamal, Manika Batra, G Satyam. There are three names which come up here.
Yeah.
Prior to 2018, there's no name which would come up.
From what I've been reading, been considered something of a legend in table tennis.
Well, that's just because of my longevity in the sport.
Yeah.
But yeah, prior to 2018, people who don't know sport, who would not know table tennis, would not know me. People who knew sport would know, yeah, Sharath Kamal, yeah, that tall guy with the bandana or the kerchief on the head. That's how vaguely they can relate. That's how much they know. But since the last couple of years, it's been better. And see, we can't compare ourselves with those other sports because we haven't had world titles. Once we have world titles, then I
Yeah.
would like to see what exactly happens. Even the simple thing, even at the Olympic Games, even if we make it to the quarterfinals of the Olympic Games, we don't need to win a medal.
Okay.
Even get to the quarterfinals of the Olympic Games, I think we will get some due recognition, which the sport requires. But again, um, to to market anything, you need superstars. If
Yeah.
Shah Rukh Khan is selling Byju's, yeah,
Yeah.
we need to do our bit
Yeah.
to first achieve, and then it follows on.
Okay. So, how are you managing your fitness and your state of mind during this lockdown?
Um,
What is your typical day like?
in the
Yeah.
last 4 months, there have been different phases of mental state and of physical state. The first part of the lockdown, I put on 2 kilos. Daughter at home, son at home, wife is baking cakes
Yeah.
along with the kids, and eating sweets after sweets. There's no discipline basically, and a little bit of fitness was happening. The first lockdown, of course, not much of fitness I could do because I generally prefer, like, I like to go out and run or go for a walk or something like that. But at that point of time, you couldn't do
Yeah.
anything of that sort. It was mostly home workout, and home workouts was new. I didn't have the right kind of space. I don't have the right kind of equipment, not the right kind of motivation that I'm looking for. So it was a little bit difficult, and I put on 2 kilos. Then after 1 month, I said, okay, I need to buck up now, and I need to start being serious.
Okay.
So then I started home workout seriously. And then after the 6 or 7 weeks of lockdown, then I slowly started playing table tennis at my home, at my mother's house, where we have a table. So then I'm back to my old weight. My schedule
Okay.
as such, it runs more or less like, I wake up in the mornings, I do my yoga and meditation. That's something which is added up due to the lockdown, because that's something what I felt is nice. I used to do it as a young boy,
Okay.
but since I moved into Europe I lost touch with it, and now I'm happy that I got the time to do it back and do it again. So I start off with yoga and meditation. Then I have almost 1 hour of home fitness, where my trainer is on a call and video call, and 7-8 of us are doing our exercises. So little bit, yeah, there's virtual company basically.
Yeah.
So there's a little bit of motivation from that part. Of course, still the equipments are not what it is. The environment is not as it is, but now we've figured out a way how to work out. So I finished my workout by 8:30. Then when I used to prior to this lockdown in June, I used to go play table tennis. So I'll
Okay.
go mom's house, play table tennis for an hour, and get back home by 10 o'clock. And from 10 onwards, it's more or less family time. Daughter, son, helping my wife out, daily chores or something like that. So then the rest of the day was completely for my family. That was how I used to do it before the lockdown also.
Okay.
Morning 6 to 12 used to be my workout time. Post 12 o'clock, it used to be time for the kids. So now it's just moved 2 hours earlier. That's also because I'm not playing so much of table tennis.
Okay.
So that way. And with the lockdown, there are a lot of interviews and social media stuff.
Can I ask how many you've given by now? You lost count.
For sure, more than 100
Oh
in
wow.
the last one. Almost every second day, I was on Instagram lives and doing interviews.
Okay. You've also been busy in, collecting funds for the table tennis fraternity. Do you want to talk about that? It must be a very hard situation now for so many coaches and the staff.
I think for the sporting industry, by and large, itself, it's a very hard situation.
Yeah.
Uh, um, so the industry was slowly picking up. We're doing very well since 2008, after Beijing Olympic Games, when India started to win medals at the Olympic Games. Did sport become professional? Prior to that, it was a hobby or a passion or an extracurricular activity. Even when in 2006, when I won my Commonwealth Games, I was the first Indian to do so. And that was the biggest thing table tennis I had ever seen. When I came back home, a lot of people had asked, "What are you studying? Education is important," those kind of
Yeah.
things. So they don't understand that sport itself is what is keeping me professionally
Yeah.
secure. So 2008 Beijing Olympic Games, and then the IPL at that point of time started. So a lot of these sport management companies came up, and those helped in evolving sport into a professional segment industry.
Yeah.
So now with the lockdown coming into effect, a lot of people are losing their livelihoods. The economy is down. There are a lot of other issues, medical issues, financial issues, so logistic issues, so many issues. So sport will be one of the last things which the government or anybody will think about. Even at this point of time, uh, as I have a 9-year-old daughter, I would be
Yeah.
thinking about my daughter's education, school. I would not even think about any sport for her, or anything of that sort. So sport, by and large, the industry itself has fallen back due to this lockdown and due to this pandemic.
True.
And a lot of people are only surviving from this. Just their main source of income is from this
Yeah.
industry. So players like us, okay, of course, I work with Indian Oil, so they pay me a salary, so that takes care of my basic needs. So, but there are a lot of players. So let's take tennis players. They are professional players. They make a living from their prize money.
Okay.
So if they don't go in for tournaments and win that prize money, they cannot go to the next tournament. They cannot have funding for training for the next weeks.
Yeah.
So then there's no income also for them. So this is at the top level. This is, then when you go down, when you trickle down, when you go down to the grassroots level, there are so many coaches, so many people let's say there are in other sports there are markers or there are groundsmen.
Yeah.
They basically live on helping maintain the ground, or even in table tennis we've had a couple of maintenance helpers, helper people who help in taking care of the academies or clubs.
Yeah.
So we thought about it. We actually started off doing that in a small way in Chennai. Myself and Satyan, we came together for, like, we joined a cause there. A couple of other friends started that cause because their friends were going through the difficulty. They said, okay, Anna, they call me Anna, so everybody calls me Anna in the table tennis because I'm older than all of them. So yeah, there are these coaches who played with us, but now their sole income is coaching, and we would like to help them. Is there any way you could help? So myself and Satyan came in and we contributed a little bit, and a lot of other people also contributed, and that was published in the newspaper. So we collected around 75,000. We tried to help 10 coaches.
Okay.
So that was in the newspaper. Once that was in the newspaper, an ex-Olympian, Neha Agarwal, her
Yeah.
colleague was doing it for hockey. Viren Raskina was doing it for hockey. So she thought, why don't we do it for table tennis? So we came together, we championed the cause, and initially we thought we'll be able to we thought we'll be able to raise 10 lakhs, in which we will help 100 beneficiaries. So 10,000 per head as a one-time support from
Okay.
our side. But the kind of response we got was phenomenal. By almost the fourth day, 4.5 days, we collected the 10 lakhs, and we didn't know what to do. Do we close the campaign or do we go on? So we said, let's go on, let's try and find more beneficiaries. And now currently, we have almost around 175 beneficiaries, and we've raised around 17 lakhs, 17 point, yeah.
That's wonderful. Yeah.
Yeah, and the donors have been, ex table tennis players, current table tennis players, table tennis fraternity mostly, a few friends from school, and those kind of.
Okay.
So all of them have come forward, and they've tried to help other people in this system. So I think that way, it's really heartening to see people coming forward and trying to help one another.
Yeah. That's nice. So what are you looking forward to for the next few months? Sorry.
Resuming table tennis activities. So that will be, the next plan of action. Of course, everything is opening out, but still the number of cases of corona are going up.
Yeah.
So we'll have to, slowly, carefully take our precautions into starting and training ahead together, because the rest of the world has moved on. They have started training. So we are already a couple of months behind the rest of the world. So, but we can't compare to them because the situation in country is different.
Okay.
So we're looking at, coming together and training, and starting to prepare ourselves for the 2021 Olympic Games.
Yeah.
So it's been a long break, and I guess the break will be extended too from here. But when the break is over, when we need to start again, we should be ready to,
Yeah.
be up and going. At that point of time, we can't say, I've put on too much weight, or I don't have the motivation, or, that can't be. So through these times, we need to keep ourselves in that frame of mind.
All right. Thank you so much, Sharath. I had a wonderful conversation with you.
Thank you very much.
I hope you found Sharath's story inspiring. If you like the way the podcast is shaping up, please subscribe to us. We are available on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, and Stitcher. And you can reach me on Instagram at Maharani Talks and on LinkedIn at Mahati Rangarajan. Stay tuned.